date is Monday, March 8th. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The new field hospital, which opened in Falmouth, Trelawney on the weekend, is virtually at full capacity as the country continues to report a high number of COVID-19 cases. More than 700 new cases were reported by the Ministry of Health and Wellness for Saturday, March 6th. Head of the Western Regional Health Authority, Errol Green, says COVID-19 positive patients had already been assigned to every bed in the new field hospital. He says medical personnel and facilities have been dealing with COVID-19 cases for almost a year now and are fatigued and stressed. Meanwhile, Jamaica interim COVID-19 vaccination plan is set to come online this week. A shipment of 50,000 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine is expected to arrive on Monday. The first shipment of vaccines is a gift from the people and government of India. Over the weekend, the country recorded its highest daily total of new COVID-19 infections. Here is the latest summary from the Health and Wellness Ministry.
In the summary for Sunday, March 7, 878 new COVID-19 cases and 1 death were reported. Of the 26,904 overall case count, 11,770 are active. A 63-year-old man from St. James became the 454th person to succumb to the virus. Here is the parish breakdown. St. Catherine reported 187 cases, with Kingston and St. Andrew posting 179. St. Anne recorded 88, while 86 cases were reported in St. James. Clarendon recorded 68 cases, and in Manchester, 58. Over in St. Thomas, there were 56 cases, while St. Elizabeth reported 49. Portland and Trelawney both registered 25 cases, with Westmoreland having 24, while St. Mary posted 17 cases, and rounds out the list with 16 cases. In the meantime, 14,447 recoveries have been reported overall, with 92 reported in the last 146 hours. Currently, 250 persons are hospitalized, with 44 patients showing moderate symptoms and 31 patients critical. Melvin Pennant, PBCJ News.
The Trade Act, which was first enacted in 1955, is set to be repealed and replaced. That's the word from Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Audley Shaw. The Trade Act, which was amended in 2009, provides for, among other things, the regulation of trade in goods, including the conditions of distribution, purchase and sale, and the importation and exportation, except for under license of goods of any class or descriptions. Minister Shaw gave some details on the decision to replace the legislation at a recent meeting of the Standing Finance Committee of the House of Representatives.
I'm not focusing on what we can accomplish by the budget alone. If I were to focus on that, we wouldn't be accomplishing too much. But what I have to say to you is that the ministry has made a commitment. I have 18 agencies reporting to us. We are doing a forensic review of every single agency with a view to saying, if you can do something in a day, don't take a month. Because in some of these agencies, it has become a customary practice to slow down a process. And people don't realize that when they slow down a process, they are courting poverty rather than seeking to create wealth. Right? Hold on, Minister, member. But I want to say to you in terms of what are we targeting, MP. The agro-industry sector is a natural area for targeting for the export markets. There are complaints that we get from England, from the United States. They want Jamaican goods and cannot get it. That's where we have to start. And in that process, that's where we are working with the Ministry of Agriculture and with the Sugar Company Holdings of Jamaica, where we have to get land into the hands of people who want to turn into productive operations and, and create raw materials for a vibrant agro-industrial sector.
Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Floyd Green is urging more farmers to sign up for the new health and life insurance coverage program created for fisherfolk and farmers registered with the ministry. He made the call while speaking on JIS's Get the Facts program. The Agriculture and Fisheries Minister says agricare insurance program is only available to registered farmers and their family.
Not only are registered farmers and fishers eligible, but also their dependents. So if you're the child of a farmer or a fisher, or if you're the spouse, you are also eligible to sign up directly for these packages.
He says he saw the need for health and life insurance while touring and speaking to members of farming communities across the island.
I saw firsthand, especially with families, when there's death in the family and then the family is called upon to bear the burden of those expenses, it is difficult. So we identified as a priority to try to get our private sector to really come forward and answer our call and implement a program of insurance that was accessible and affordable for our fisher folks. And thankfully, we put the call out there. We asked private sector to come forward. In fact, we engaged them directly. I had my team call them up and say, what can you do? Come and meet with us. Let's talk about it. And I'm very happy that Sagicor answered the call, and we now have the Sagicor agricare plan. There is a critical illness plan, as the name suggests. If you fall into one of the illnesses in the categories, then you will be covered. There is a personal accident plan. If you have a personal accident and you're covered, then you will get a payout. There's also what they call the full house plan, which is really what people call health insurance. When you go to the doctor and you get money off your doctor's visit, or you go and fill a prescription, so there's also that. There's a major medical plan, and this covers things like surgeries, chemotherapy, radiation, dialysis, so you're covered under that for that plan. And then there's a very important group life insurance plan, which activates upon death, and it goes to your beneficiaries.
Minister Green says the premiums are manageable.
The flexibility that comes from this program is that you can pay semi-annually, so twice per year, or you can pay quarterly, or you can pay once per year. So you have that, you can make that decision whichever best suits your circumstances. More importantly, we've really worked to keep the prices down. And just to give you some examples. So let us take the life insurance, or let's start with personal accident. Our personal accident plan, for coverage of $1 million, so a payout of $1 million, a farmer or fisher would pay $2,605 for the year.
Farmers can sign up at RADA offices. Minister Green says farmers and fisherfolk should take advantage of the ongoing open enrollment period.
What that means is that all our farmers and fisherfolk need to do is provide the registration information, provide their premium, and they need no medical report. They still will be signed up.
The group critical illness plan provides coverage on diagnosis of certain critical illnesses.
What used to happen is that the farmers used to go as individuals, try to access insurance, and the cost would be prohibitive. We said to the private sector, let's take a different approach. Look at the farmers as a group, treat this 220,000 or this 26,000 fishers as a group, and calculate the benefits like that. Yes. And I think it has worked.
The Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries says the agricare program is a significant step in the transformation of Jamaica's agricultural and fisheries sector. Residents of Mount Felix, St. Thomas are complaining about the state of roads in the community. They say the roads are in a deplorable condition. More from Melvin Pennant.
Well, whole per vehicle used to run pan when me boy. I got school, we can't get vehicle on the road. We have to get some kind of get the up vehicle to get to catch it. So why don't leave it like this? I can't really understand, because people want to move back from farm to come back home. See your house up there? How you going to come home? Tell me.
What really happened, I paid tax for up here for Mr. David Cooper. So I bought everything for him, take care of him. The thing about it, We cannot drive up here even look about nothing. We neglect food, can't plant no more coconut. We need to plant more coconut, more than 10,000 coconut we have up here. We need the road, the environment that nice up here. We have to walk food come up here and take donkey.
They want to drive out the car.
And we can't drive out the car through the condition of the road.
Councillor of the area, Ludlow Matheson, is requesting help for the road repairs.
I am councillor for this year, and the reason why I'm here is to have a look on the road which I look on each time. Over the past few years, I actually make representation for this Mount Felix road, but I always hear that no money is not in the system, which I am not looking a rehabilitation road. I'm just looking like a tractor to come and scrape the road, that people could have access of the road much easier. Although the condition of the road is in now, the condition of the road is in now, not even donkey can walk on the road. I'm sorry for the residents of this area.
The councillor also made an appeal to local government and rural development minister Desmond McKenzie.
Take for instance, look at the church right out there. The place is running down. The school closed down, the church closed down, the residents are moving out because of the road. So just I'm asking the Honourable Minister, Honourable Desmond McKenzie, which is a minister which I always respect, and just asking you to hear our plight of this road. I'm just asking you, please, sir, what you can do to help us in this Mount Felix area.
Minister McKenzie addressed the issue of the road during Thursday's Standing Finance Committee, where the 2021-2022 proposed budget was examined.
The question of roads have been a burning issue.
Yeah.
I have been meeting with the mayors and the CEOs over the last couple of months. And I think we met in December last year, and I outlined the concerns as it relates to our road infrastructure. We are presently responsible for over 22,000 kilometers of road network across the country. Many of the roads have fallen into disrepair. Some have disappeared.
Yes.
Over many years of neglect. We are now creating a new database. We are spending some money. We are using a geo-mapping system in mapping the roads.
Okay.
And when funds are being disbursed from the ministry, we have set some conditions as to how these funds are to be sent and based on what.
The minister said he wants to revisit the current national road program.
It is important that we also recognize that the amount that we receive for roads is very limited. We get 66.3% of the proceeds from the motor vehicle licensing and all associated fees with motor vehicles. And that has to be shared amongst the municipalities. And we do get support from the Ministry of Finance through the Consolidated Fund for Road Maintenance, which again is not where we want to, but we are cognizant of the challenges. And that is why we have been putting in the various mechanisms that we have been putting in place to ensure that we see and get value for the limited resources in which we have. So we are redefining the road program.
Melvin Pennant, PBCJ News.
The Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport says the International Women's Day Awards ceremony, which was scheduled to take place today, March 8, 2021, has been postponed. The event, which honors women from various sectors for outstanding contribution to Jamaica, is being postponed in keeping with measures to limit gatherings in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. In a release, the ministry said it will inform the public of a new date. Jubilee trials for St. Catherine Circuit Court have been suspended as part of efforts to reduce the spread of COVID-19. A statement from the judiciary says, effective March 8, 2021, persons who were summoned for jury duty at the St. Catherine Circuit are not required to attend and have been discharged without any risk of penalty. Matters which qualify as bench trials and matters in which the Crown and the defense agree to a bench trial will proceed during the St. Catherine Circuit. For further information, persons can contact the CAD at 876-754-8337 or visit their website at www.cad.gov. Over the last decade, more than 100 Jamaicans have been rescued from human trafficking. This from Chairman of the National Task Force Against Trafficking in Persons, Courtney Williams. He pulled data from a 2016 International Labour Organization report on trafficking in persons, which stated that there are about 40 million people being tracked globally, of which 80% are being trafficked for sexual exploitation. In response to human trafficking, the Jamaican government established the NATFA in Jamaica in 2005. In 2007, the Office of the National Rapporteur on Trafficking in Persons was also set up and is an independent observer of Jamaica's efforts against human trafficking. Mr. Williams says with an average 10 persons being reportedly trafficked in Jamaica per year, it is important to have robust laws and policies that hinder trafficking in persons. And time now for a look at the financial market news with Gabriel Thompson in this quick business report.
In Friday's trading session, the JSE combined index declined by 736 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 84 stocks, of which 33 advanced, 40 declined, and 11 traded firm. The junior market index advanced by 24 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica, 138 Student Living Variable Preference, and Barita Investments Limited. Trading firm were Dermont Trading Company Preference Shares, Elite Diagnostic Limited, and Express Catering Limited. Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited was the volume leader with over 2 million units, followed by Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with 1.2 million units and Jamaican Teas Limited with over 1.2 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Friday, March 5 ended trading at $149.75. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $117.75. The pound sterling traded for $208.01, and the euro ended trading at $180.85. Oil prices climbed above $70 a barrel for the first time since the start of the coronavirus crisis after the U.S. Senate passed a $1.9 trillion economic stimulus package and a Yemeni group attacked Saudi Arabia's oil territory. Brent crude futures traded up 12 cents to $69.48 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 14 cents to $67.98 a barrel. Brent and WTI prices have climbed for 4 consecutive sessions. And on that note, we end this Monday edition of the Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
Here are some stories being reported across the region. In Barbados, recently a proposal was put on the table for a minimum wage to be $8.50. But this is just the starting point in the eyes of the Barbados Workers' Union. More details in this report.
General Secretary Tony Moore stated the position as she frankly discussed the issue on BT's Pulse last evening. Cabinet is expected to make a final decision on the issue on April 1st, but Moore made it clear that while $8.50 is an improvement, it is simply not enough given the cost of living and will have to be addressed going forward.
The Barbados Workers Union's view has been, and it continues up to this time, that because a wage might be uncomfortable for employers, we have to look at that wage in the context not of what it does to the employer only, but what it is intended to do to the worker. And for me, it is untenable and it is almost unimaginable that companies would be ready to admit that their means of survival resides only within their capacity to suppress the wages of workers at this point to $6.25 in the name of COVID. And I would challenge those employers, and I would challenge anybody who's minded to take that view to go to a supermarket and try to spend $260 a week for a family of 4. And one of the things that, and 4 is not an average, because I know in a canvass very recently across the constituency that 4 people isn't a normal family in Barbados. Isn't the average family in Barbados. You're looking more at 7. And I would want to challenge people to try to figure out how you would spend $260 in a supermarket to feed 5 to 7 people. Furthermore, having to look at things like utilities and rent and so on. I've always maintained, and I've said it before on this issue, it is never the wrong time to do the right thing. I believe businesses have to figure out themselves and have to figure out how we are not going to stick up at $8.50 because the Barbados Workers Union isn't going to be about that, but how we can see how we can start there and over the course of several years get the minimum wage to something that will be more livable.
In St. Lucia, the question of whether the island's creative industry will survive is being asked 3 months into 2021. Another year of cultural festivities has been placed on the back burner due to the deadly global pandemic. The recent rollout of the vaccine program has provided some hope, but it will take some time before the resumption of large-scale mass crowd activities. HDS News Force seeks the answer to that question. What does this mean for cultural events like Carnival? In this report.
Carnival, a time when the island's cultural identity and artistic talents merge to generate increased economic activity for many. However, COVID-19 has rendered the grand spectacle nothing more than a distant memory. Cultural activist, managing director of Landmark Events, and band leader of Tribe of 12, Dr. Adrian Auger, is not holding out hope for a grand 2021 edition of St. Lucia's Carnival.
I don't think you can gear up at this point easily. I know that there are plans for or proposals for a virtual carnival. The Carnival Bands Association is in touch with Events St. Lucia on that regard, and we hope to be meeting with them very soon to review what's on the table. But a virtual carnival is at best a second option. Let's see what it can do. We've seen some interesting virtual versions of carnivals and other festivals happening. We're keeping an open mind.
Despite a rollout of the vaccination program and a race to herd immunity, Dr. Auger says it's simply too late for all the pieces to fall into place for a flawless execution of the massive event. St. Lucia's Carnival is traditionally held late July. However, leading up to the main event, various communities stage their small-scale celebrations.
Last year was a write-off, and the year before that, not much better. So we have to think, how do we refinance the festival? And is there money for that given all the other things that we have to do?
Officials have had to get creative given the ban on mass crowd events, opting to go virtual, as was the case with the 42nd Independence celebrations. Chair of events company St. Lucia, Daniel Belizar, during the national rollout of the vaccination program on Thursday, March 4th, expressed hope of the survival of the creative industry despite the setback of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We were looking at things, perhaps in October, we were looking at things and we were thinking, well, maybe we might be able to have carnival this year. Clearly, that has gone out the window. So we're now looking for the next
season
mass crowd event that we can have. We've had a number of meetings with the CMO's office and her team, Ministry of Health, and the decision is that perhaps maybe not until the end of this year. But I would just like to tell St. Lucians that, in fact, my team is working seriously to put together, in fact, they have put together a plan for Carnival this year. It's a virtual plan. And again, it's about stimulating the artists, giving them something to be able to hold. And of course, it will go down. I'm hoping that as many people as possible will take advantage of it. We are waiting for word from Cabinet to whether or not it will be approved, but we do have a plan in place.
What will a virtual St. Lucia Carnival 2021 look like? Only time will tell. However, the message being pushed by officials is the importance of mass inoculation to accelerate the return to a semblance of normalcy and the return of mass crowd events. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
In Trinidad and Tobago, the non-profit organization Women of Substance has found a way to continue the conversation on domestic violence through their Purple Bench initiative. Cameraman Rajnath Lal met up with the group in Chaguanas on Saturday, and Mahalia Joseph Wharton has more.
Founder and president of Women of Substance Tobago, Onika Mars, took the initiative to Chaguanas on Saturday at the Jim Wise Park. She said the initiative is all about creating awareness. Ms. Mars said purple is being used as it's the color associated with the global movement.
We will be placing messages on the benches and contact information for agencies that persons can reach out to for help. And the benches in every community throughout Trinidad and Tobago is indeed a reminder that in every community we have at least one person who was affected or who is being affected, even as we do this project, by domestic violence and abuse.
The organization, which has been in existence for 4 years, also conducts regular workshops and seminars on domestic violence to raise awareness.
We have been continuing the conversations, or having the conversations 24/7, 365. So we are keeping the momentum going. The discussions are on a daily basis because what we know is that domestic violence and abuse is not something that goes to rest. As we speak, someone is being affected.
MP for Chaguanas East, Vandana Mohit, said the collaboration is all part of the community's International Women's Day celebrations. She said it's more than just purple benches.
But a place where conversations will start, places which will be identified as safe spaces within the constituency of Chaguanas East in our strong tackling of domestic violence, gender-based violence, attacks against women. We are very passionate about this issue.
The Purple Bench initiative was launched in Tobago on November 11, 2020 in collaboration with CPEP under the THA. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
In sports, we look to cricket. Former Jamaica and West Indies cricketer Wayne Hines was recently appointed Chief of Mission for the 2024 Paris Paralympic Games. He is now a Paralympic ambassador with his recent appointment. For the 2024 Paris Paralympic Games, Hines bested a field of experienced candidates to take the top job as the ambassador. He brings to the table a plethora of sports administrative experience, having presided over the West Indies Players Association and Kensington Cricket Club. Hines will now be responsible for mustering Jamaica's team of athletes and officials who will represent the nation at the multidisciplinary showpiece of para sports. And that's all we have for you today. Join us tomorrow for more news on PBCJ. Pleasant viewing.